The following program was pre-recorded. To ask a question on the air, call 1-800-229-3000 Monday through Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Hello, everybody. It's Becky Brown. I am a licensed therapist as well as your host for today, but I'm joined by Dr. Sheri Keffer, who is a marriage and family therapist, and Laura Mangin-McDonald, who is also a marriage and family therapist, and we are going to take your calls for a couple of hours, 1-800-229-3000. We would love to hear what's on your mind, and I know you've got stuff on your mind. I hear about people's struggles all the time, and we want to hear yours. But right now, I want to hear, Sheri, what is on your mind?
Yeah, I brought a pot in with me in the studio today, just a typical pot that you would cook things with. And I want to tell you how I use it in my office. Recently, I had a couple come in, and they were dealing with the impact, the pain of sexual betrayal. There had been pornography and some cyber sex and things that had gone on in their relationship. And as I was sitting with the couple, I noticed that every time, in this case, the wife was the betrayed partner, every time she started talking about how she was hurting, the husband would pull away, or he would start deflecting and talking about something else. And even one time he ended up putting it on her. And so I thought, this is interesting. So I pulled out a pot that I have, and I just said, hey, I said, basically, this is what's going on. You both are right now sitting in a boiling pot of water. Now, your wife is in pain from the sexual acting out that's gone on. And as she's talking, you begin to feel pain in yourself because of hurting her. And what I'm observing is you either jump out of the pot or you start making it about her in the pot as if she's hurting you, but she's the one who's hurting. So I explained to them that we can often have feelings about somebody else's feelings, and that can complicate the healing process. So I reminded him, I said, hey, the bottom line is you're the one that turned on the flame. You're the one that turned on the stove to even create the boiling water. And it's my goal to help you sit in the hot pot with your wife as she's starting to talk about the hurt, the betrayal, the deception, the pain, and the heartache she's had because of what you've done. I want to help both of you. I want to help you, the one who betrayed, learn how to have some empathy and really hear her. Not tell her to stop, not try to quiet her down or tap her down, but really listen, not with your only ear portals. I want to help you learn how to listen with your heart and to be able to speak back words of understanding and empathy and ownership. And I'm telling you, Becky, things began to change because you get it, right? And I think Jesus often taught in parables. He taught in these simple messages so that we could actually get it. And as that couple started getting it, he realized that it was okay for him to have feelings about her hurt and pain. That was a normal part of the healing process for both of them.
You know, we don't want to get into the hard, hot water. We want it just to be easy. We just want it to be over with. And it's such a great word picture. You know, if you're struggling with something like this and you need a way to get out of the hot water, we can help you. We've got steps, pathways, people, all kinds of things to help you. And we'll begin by answering your calls today, 1-800-229-3000. And, you know, maybe you're the one that turned the fire up. Maybe you're the one that's dealing with the shame and the guilt of making poor choices that's impacting other people. There's still redemption for you. We have hope and a future, and we're looking forward to seeing the after story. We'll be right back after this break.
5 years ago, I had been in porn addiction, and I'd had a sexual relationship out of marriage.
Every day, men struggle with sexual integrity, impure thoughts, strip clubs, affairs, pornography. Find help today at New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive.
That was the first time I'd ever divulged the sin that I had.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Intensive.
I found a confidential comfort that was able to put a flame to a start of a healing process.
Now the intensive is coming to Orange County, California, November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
Thank you, New Life. They're the redeemed, man. Thank you.
1-800-NEWLIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so grateful to be here with you, and we are taking your calls, 1-800-229-3000. I'm joined by Laura Mangin-McDonald and Dr. Sheri Keffer. Both are marriage and family therapists, and I know that they can help you. We're going to go right to the calls, and we are going to talk with Mark, who's calling us from Orlando, Florida, listens on WEJF. Hello, Mark. I'm glad you called. How can we help you today?
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm calling because one of the topics that my wife and I have talked about, and we've talked about with friends as well, is comparison within marriage. You know, you see a video on Facebook, oh, so here's this cute couple, and, you know, I wish my husband could be like that, or I wish my wife would be like that. And they can range from, you know, emotional or personality type things, even to appearances, and I'm sure that can play in with lust as well. And so I'm just curious, just, you know, strategies on having healthy conversations around those things with your spouse, and how to have healthy conversations and not hurtful conversations in that area.
Question. Laura, let's start with you, and then we'll hear from Sheri.
Okay, well, boy, don't we see if Facebook, it can be a great thing, or it can just totally bring out or to the top all the inferior things that we experience. I think the main key here is honesty in love. We are to speak truth in love. And what that does, if that's the overarching theme, what that does is invite a difficult conversation. It says, all of you can show up, and all of you is safe with me to talk about what's on your heart. And it's where what we'll bring in the scripture, love covers. It doesn't deny, right? So if you can show up and bring all of yourself to me, and we can have, and I wish y'all could see me because I'm very visual, and I want to do these this hand demonstration where we have two of our hands locked together to show secure attachment. Secure attachment says, come as you are. We can have hard conversations. I welcome this, even though it's very difficult. And if that's the overarching present go, then whatever the conversation is, that can happen. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I want to dig a little deeper, Mark. When you were talking with us, would you say that you end up comparing more, or does your wife end up comparing more? Which one of you struggles more with the comparison issue?
I think they're different. You know, I struggled with pornography earlier on in our marriage and had a remission with that several years ago. And my wife graciously worked through me with that and, you know, restored me with Jesus, you know, in faith. It was a huge part of the healing journey. So I think, you know, some of the comparison that we talk about and that I've had to fight is through lustful type comparison. I think for her, you know, I wasn't as emotionally available as she had hoped that I would be throughout our marriage. And, you know, some of the comparison I think there is probably around personality and, you know, around, you know, how I present myself and how available I am. And so, you know, trying to have healthy conversations in both those are two very different things, I'm sure. But having healthy conversations around those.
Well, and you know what? I love how open you are with us, because you've just told me a couple things that make me even more curious about you. One is if you go back to growing up, in your family, was there themes around needing to do things right or be perfect, or were there these standards that were raised that were very high, where it was hard to be comfortable being yourself in your own skin?
Absolutely.
And so what happens with that when there is judgment in your family of origin, or like these standards that are raised so high? It would make sense, Mark, why you would grow up, and even grow up with this unknown force field around you of protection relationally. When Laura talked about the hands of attachment and things being really, both hands being kind of wedded together, what happens when we've grown up in an environment like that? It can be very scary to bring our warts and all. And so we unknowingly create a force field, a wall of protection. And we begin to find things in our significant others that actually are imperfect, or actually make them less than desirable. And you know what it does? Unknowingly, it creates a distance in the relationship. Because come as you are, as Laura said, is what we all want. We all long for being come as you are. But if your brain, if your mind, if your heart is in self-defense mode and it's looking for things that are different than your spouse, it makes it very different to attach and bond. And I think that's why pornography, the fantasy of this perfect body, this perfect person, this perfect love, this perfect whatever, it's all a farce. But it makes it very difficult to be intimate. And it actually can be an intimacy disorder. So I always ask couples, I was talking about the pot when I opened the show, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up in order to create the safest environment that you can? And do you know, Mark, I have couples that have given up Facebook. They give up scrolling on their phones. They give up things so they can sit with themselves. There aren't the distractions, and they can sit with the real person on the other side of them. What do you think?
That's such a powerful thing. Sheri, I wonder, just along that same, how can Mark or somebody else recognize when they are not able to be vulnerable and intimate in a relationship? Because, Mark, you've got a great question, and you're asking the right questions, but you didn't even recognize that that's what was going on.
Right. Yeah, and to the question that was just posed as well, I gave up social media years ago, and my internet, access is pretty controlled, and I appreciate that. I think that's part of the transparency and part of the journey that I'm on. But yeah, I don't have any socials, and we share all sorts of accounts and those types of things, and that helps me feel safe and helps her feel safe as well. Awesome.
But you still maybe find yourself comparing. And do you know that comparing is a stealth mission of disconnect? I often say here on the show that all behavior is purposeful, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it hurts the other person. But what comparison, if you begin to notice that you're comparing your wife and there's a negative thought that comes into your mind, that's about you. That's about, oh my goodness, what is going on in me that I am avoiding, that I am not wanting to feel? What imperfection am I struggling with that I might be projecting on her? Like, there's a whole world of questions around that, because it's a defense, and a stealthy defense at that.
And Sheri, I'm sitting here thinking, I missed some of the call because I dropped off, but I'm wondering if he has a lot of avoidant tendencies or makeup in his attachment. It would be very difficult for him to even have that depth of understanding. And that's not anything negative about you, Mark, but this is learned behavior. We have to be taught how to look inside our heart and how to connect with our feelings. And I know in my sessions, oftentimes, when this type of scenario is going on, and I'll ask, say, the guy in this situation, and he'll say, I don't know. I mean, there's just like this block, which then increases the shame, which then perpetuates the disconnect.
Mark, how does that sound?
I'd like to learn more about.
Oh, we're getting disconnected from you. I mean, since that's the topic that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Laura, I see the same thing, and I often tell people, the men that kind of go into that blank stare, I said, it's not I said, you're a really intelligent human being. You work, you do all kinds of things. This isn't about knowledge or your intellect. It's actually deeper. I said, if you were in a plane and the plane was going down and somebody came to you, one of the flight attendants, and said, sir, I need you to get into the front. The pilot's passed out. You've got to land this plane. I know that you would do everything in your power to land that plane, even though you've never flown a plane. Everything inside of you would do your best. And so it's not about a not knowing how to do it. It's that you're doing your best and you just don't have the reserves. You did not get them growing up. You did not get them in your family of origin.
Right.
And Laura and Becky, you guys both know that you can grow. We can grow in learning these skills. It's awkward. It's uncomfortable. It can be anxiety producing. All our bells and whistles can go off. We can feel like we want to cry.
Yeah.
And that's when we avoid. We run away instead of going into the deeper work. I love what Mark was saying is he's like, hey, we've done things to stop the porn. Like I'm in a good place. I'm even honest about a relapse that I had, and I've gotten that squared away. But there is a deeper emotional, relational connection that can happen in getting into deeper therapy to do some bonding and attachment work. Once the couple has gotten, bloody honest and there isn't any more hiding and no secret affairs or porns and all of that, the trauma of growing up in a house where there's lots of expectations and there was a perfectionism standard, that's a trauma growing up, and
it sure is.
It's muted you. It's stopped you from getting what you need, and we can grow as adults, right?
Well, I wonder too, Mark, are you and your wife doing anything to heal, grow with whether it's a counselor or an intensive? What have you guys done, or what are you doing?
So we've been talking about it. I started maybe 3 weeks ago. I went to my own therapist just for myself. I ended up not moving forward with him because most of the session was him talking and not really asking me questions, or me really talking much. So I'm looking for another counselor for me, and we've talked about doing some marriage counseling as well. What you're saying is resonating because she's asking for deeper connection. She's asking, sometimes you feel so distant, you feel so disconnected, and in those moments, I'm trying to understand how to connect further and finding myself that when I'm under stress or distracted by needing to fix the water softener or something else, there's always something, and I'm thinking about things. And she's always said, I just haven't felt like you don't even know how to do romance. Like, are you, and she's very gracious, but are you broken? Do you not know how to do romance? Do you not know how to do relationship? And I feel that way sometimes. Like, I don't know how.
Well, Mark, I would say you should join us. You bring your wife to the Intimacy and Marriage Intensive. And like Laura, you're just saying you have to be taught. These are, and like you said, Sheri, these are good things. This is not a problem that's not solvable. There are paths that you can take. Laura, how could you encourage him to join us at Intimacy and Marriage?
Yeah, Mark, I'm just so, I love how open you've been with us and how open you're to what, the three of us are saying to you. If you all can get to Intimacy and Marriage, I'll say run, Forrest, run. Get there as fast as you can because it is going to change your life. There's a freedom that is so close you can almost touch it. because you are so willing, you are so open, and you and your wife, like I said, this could be fixed. It's a matter of understanding emotional intelligence, something that's never been explained. And you have to, it can be even spoken to you, but you have to have experiences. And what we do at Intimacy and Marriage that makes our intensive so unique is we have information that's given from the platform that's all very good. But then you get to go into a group with a licensed therapist and a few other couples, and you get to practice what you're learning. And it's a game changer. And I can tell from your all's attitude that you all will just, you will return with so much freedom in your heart and a love that I think you've never even experienced with each other. So I hope to see you there.
I love that. Mark, stay on. We will give you information about that intensive. We're going to send you a copy of How We Love, which is kind of the primer about getting to know. And we're going to keep taking calls, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be right back.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hid with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I ended up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are going to continue taking calls, 1-800-229-3000, but we are aware that many of you listen when you can't call in for whatever reason, whether you're listening at work, which we won't tell your boss, but sometimes that happens, or if you're listening on the podcast. We have a way for you to connect with us at newlife.com/radio, and then there'll be some instructions there of how to connect. And we have one such connection that we're going to listen to right now.
Hi, this is Ginger, and my question is surrounding an issue that continues to surface in my marriage. My husband has issues with communicating. He grew up in a very dysfunctional family. In fact, we're actually low contact with his parents now. So I'm not sure if the childhood is what's still contributing to this issue with my husband. But what happens is we'll make an agreement on something. It could be a household issue, purchasing something in our business. And we will come to a mutual agreement, and then he just won't stick with it. Or he just decides he doesn't want to do it anymore. Half of the time it's his idea on what we're going to do, and then he just doesn't do it. And I don't know if it's a subconscious thing, like he's trying to punish me for something. I don't know if it's like a passive-aggressive thing. I don't know if it's from the terrible example he was modeled as to a marriage and how you have a healthy Christian marriage. But I would think with all the work we've done specifically in the last 5 years, he would be able to make progress in this area, and he doesn't. Should he be digging deeper into this? Like, could there be some sort of childhood trauma that's holding him back? Or do you think it is like something he's passively aggressively doing to me? Thank you.
Such a great observation from Ginger about her marriage. Sheri, let's start with you. I know we can't ask her all the questions we want to ask her, but we can give her some insight.
Well, Ginger, I was just thinking you did such a great job of setting this banquet table for us today. Mm-hmm. And I want to say the first place that I want to start is really with the no contact. Because what that tells me is that there's a lot of toxicity in his family. There was then and there is now. Now, when we've grown up in a home where there's a ton of toxicity, what can happen is we end up saying yes when we mean no. We don't know that we can have our own opinion. We don't know that it's okay to disagree. We don't know that we have the freedom to take some time to decide. And so what can happen is spouses can come into a marriage, and even though you have this, what sounds like a collaborative conversation, which is why it's even more confusing to you, like, 'cause we're actually collaborating, we're talking about it, we're negotiating. And then we land the plane, but then he ends up not following through or doing something different. It doesn't fit what you agreed upon. And because it's, you're going, what is going on in the in-between? I think that he may struggle with really being honest, with really owning his yeses, his nos. And if there is anxiety in that negotiation, that collaboration, he may just bend his knee and say, okay, that's good. Or come up with an idea, but really not have sat in it, not have owned it, and then change his mind. And I get the passive aggressive. Passive aggressive is it's offending behavior. It's hurtful behavior. But people that don't own their yes and don't own their no can often be passive aggressive as they're trying to get done what they want to do and have a choice. Have a choice that's solely theirs. And so I think there's some deeper trauma work that definitely needs to be delved into. And he can do that individually, but he may not want to do it individually. You might start with the couples work. And if you were coming into my office, Ginger, I would say come in with that exact story problem. Come in because it's a pattern, and let's start to unpack the layers of that pattern and see if you can hear each other in a deeper way.
Isn't it amazing too, Sheri, that it's so confusing when your history, Ginger grew up in a home where she was heard and there was conversation, but her husband came from this other experience. And so her expectation is, I ask a question, he will give me an answer, we'll carry on from there, but that's not the dance that they've been doing. Mm-hmm. Laura, what would you add to this?
Well, I piggyback exactly what Sheri has said. And I see this in my office so many times. And I always say it's really hard not to take something personal when it feels so personal. It's this because and how confusing that is because Ginger, she has this agreement with her husband. Okay, now this time you promised me. You're really going to follow through. Yes, I said I do. I mean, this is what the combo sounds like. Yes, I said so. And she goes, well, I have a reference point for this. But anyway, so I hear avoidant attachment all over this, that it was not safe to let your yes be yes and let your no be no, and that there would always be some backlash. So, but there's such a deep desire to please and agree. He wants to come alongside her, so he agrees. But then in the interim, he kind of freaks out. He says, oh, no, because she's going to be disappointed whatever I do. She's going to find some fault with it. So I'll just, I want to take back my card and pull out of this. And
Well,
again,
hopefully they'll join us
purposely
at Intimacy and Marriage. We'll be right back after this.
New Life Ministries saved my completely broken marriage.
No matter how much hurt you've had to face, no marriage is beyond hope. At New Life Ministries Intimacy and Marriage Weekend, licensed counselors will help you rebuild communication skills and renew your commitment to each other.
You're building authentic intimacy, and you're learning how to connect on an emotional and relational level. You're learning how to listen. You're learning how to identify those core patterns that get in the way of good relationship.
The Intimacy and Marriage Weekend is October 25th through the 27th in Dallas, Texas. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. 1-800-639-5433.
3.5 years later, we're still going strong. I would encourage anybody who's struggling in their marriage to go. They are more effective than anything else we tried.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Yes, 1-800-229-3000 for the next couple of hours. We are answering your calls, and I just wanted to repeat what I said to Ginger about Ginger's call. That's why we do Intimacy and Marriage. We know that you can be miserably married, and it's funny because Ginger's problem doesn't sound like it's earth-shattering until you live in it day to day to day to day, right? And so we want to help you get some tools, and we can do that through our Intimacy and Marriage Intensive. We're going to be in Dallas in October, and there are going to be marriages that are going to change. Sheri?
I want to share one more thing. I had this little thing in my mind during the break for Ginger. So Ginger, this is the deal too, is growing up in a family, a toxic family, moms can actually behave in different ways. There could be a controlling mom, and Ginger might have his mom's face on it when they're making a decision, which isn't her fault, who he had to, there was control issues with. Or it could have been an enmeshed mom who relied on him too much for her support. And so he might say yes, but then go into this passive-aggressive struggle like a little kid would because he doesn't really want to comply with Mom, Ginger. You're not his mother, right? But these are the kind of things that get unpacked at the Intimacy Intensive. And you all can come and spend some time going deeper and figuring out what can change so that the relationship can change.
It's so true. It's so true.
And can I add one thing to that? It's just a personal experience, and Sheri just reminded me, is my husband and I actually had that. He would tell me, he would say, trigger face to me. And because I'm a deep, intense thinker, and I would have this facial expression that I was not aware of, right, but that would trigger him. Well, what was happening with him, and we get into this at Intimacy and Marriage, which was his implicit memory. I explain it this way. The insidiousness of our unresolved trauma is triggered, right? And we think it's the person across from us, but it's actually, most of it is happening with things that have happened behind us. But the person across from us is doing a trigger. Like I would trigger him with what he called trigger face. And we had gotten to a place, thank you, Jesus, where he could go trigger face. I'm going, oh, hey, thank you for letting me know, right? But I could minister to him, and that's how we heal. It's just one way. But again, we go into all of that at Intimacy in Marriage, and I feel Ginger's pain.
That's beautiful. Well, we are grateful to be able to offer the intensive. We're going to go back to the calls. We're taking calls 1-800-229-3000. We're going to talk with Melanie, who's calling us from Fort Worth, Texas. Listens on KWRD. Hello, Melanie. How can we help you today?
Hello, guys. Thank you for taking my call. I hope my connection's okay. I had talked to you. It's been a while. I had a daughter who it was a horrible heroin addict and did every behavior you'd ever want. She once was a ballerina and just kind of left that life because it just got so hectic and didn't know where to turn and went down a really bad path. And as a believer, it was really hard for my husband and I to turn and practice that tough love and then not internalize that guilt that we were having because our daughter has gone to such a path that she was not raised. She was raised in the church and to love the Lord and had just completely lost that. And so we did practice those things that you guys encouraged us to practice and loved her despite of what was going on, but still put those boundaries up. Her addiction and our hurt got so bad and the things that she had done that there was even a time that I had just given up and said, Lord, please just take her home because we just can't deal with this harm and hurt anymore. And it wasn't until we actually made that conscious effort to love her despite of everything, not give her, money and things that were enabling her, but always to let her know, we're here, we love you, we just can't be in this behavior with you. And I think one of the illustrations that you guys gave us is if somebody is drowning, the very first thing you do is throw them a lifeline. You never get in the water with them. And through all those years, we'd been in the water with her, trying to rescue her, and she was destroying us and drowning us. And when we made that decision to completely turn her over to the Lord and pray, and then turn the focus on ourselves to start dealing with the guilt that we were having, and was the guilt really irrational guilt? Things turned around. She called us a year and a half later, asked us if she could come home. We told her no. And then she told us that she had gotten into a treatment program on her own, which was the first time in years because we've tried many times. And I just want to tell you that through the prayer and love and support of people, that my daughter is now clean for 3 years, living on her own, has her own apartment, has bought her own little car, works every day, prays. She has become such a prayer warrior with us, and she now has a 10-month-old baby who is absolutely beautiful. But it wasn't until we actually listened to you guys and stepped back and let Lauren have Lauren's problem, and we needed to have our problems and deal with things on our end. And it's just been a remarkable journey. It's, the pain from it. Lauren deals with a lot of hurt now and her guilt. And so we try to help her understand that our forgiveness is there, and we want to just move forward and just keep continuing to love her.
That's beautiful, Melanie. That's beautiful. Sheri, do you have any comment that you want to add to that?
I think it's a wonderful story, and I think there's a lot to be happy about. There's a lot to thank God about, and I am grateful that your daughter got into treatment. It's interesting how these situations, without the willingness on her part and without her going into an intensive treatment process, as much as you had prayed, there may not be the change that you see right now. And so I am grateful to her for her willingness to do the hard work. And of course, I'm grateful to what happened with you and your husband and the idea of, we can't keep enabling her. But those things work together, and look at the outcome that you're celebrating now.
That's it. Laura?
Yes, I'm thrilled. I did want to clarify. Did you say that she's having a hard time forgiving herself? Did I hear that?
She does. She does. And we had, every time we were together when she first came home, she cried just terribly and how sorry she was. And she was just so distraught. And I took her out for lunch one day and I told her, I said, okay, today, you tell me everything that you're sorry for. But I want you to know I have already forgiven you, and today is going to be the last day that we apologize for things. You tell me, and we did that, and we met, and she cried, and we really spent that time together. And for her to hear, we love you, we have forgiven you, and I kind of equated it to, when she just couldn't get rid of those feelings of how she felt, and she has, given her life back to the Lord and wants to follow him, and really understanding, her forgiveness. And I told her, I said, Lauren, before we were driving down the road in a snowstorm and a blizzard, we were looking back and we could see every track behind us and all the things that have happened. But now with the forgiveness that we have, we're driving down the road and I look into my rearview mirror and I see nothing but clear white snow. So you have to embrace that. The thing that she said to me that made me really understand where the ownership fell, and I needed to stop taking ownership for what she had experienced, was she told me, Mom, at no time did you put the needle in my arm. I made that choice. And that was so freeing for me, because the guilt for years has been eating at my husband and I, and just, destroying our life and our marriage. And, now we're such...
So, Melanie, as good as things are right now, what I would encourage all of you is to continue the healing work of recovery, because you're going to have, even though it's great that you've offered forgiveness, there are feelings that are going to come to the surface for your daughter. There's going to be feelings that are going to come to the surface for you. And recovery offers a pathway to have some strategies to deal with it. Also, other people, whether I would love to get your daughter connected with a recovery group where she can learn her value and her worth, and you can become, really connected in a different chapter of your lives. We love hearing the story of her recovery, and we're so grateful to have had some part in it. If you've got a loved one that is struggling like what Melanie's daughter was, there is hope, and we can get you connected. We'll be right back after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries. We know that Christian counseling changes lives. We hear evidence of that every day.
My relationships with my husband, with my friends, with my family are much richer and deeper and honest. Particularly my relationship with God, I see Him in a more accurate form and begin to trust Him more. There's joy and there's peace because I have the internal tools that I can trust. So it's radically changed my life. I'm just not even the same person.
Our nationwide network of licensed Christian counselors means there is help available near you.
Take the leap, jump in, and go for it. It's changed my life completely.
You don't have to be stuck where you are, but you can't really expect to change unless you take action. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. It could be the start of a whole new life for you. Christian counseling works, and we can help. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE today. Someone who cares is always there at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. I want to just invite you, if you have a call or a question, you can call 1-800-229-3000. You know, I also want to say thank you to our Club New Life family who gives on a monthly basis to help all the things that New Life Ministry does. Just recently heard from one particular Club New Life member that said, New Life has ignited my spiritual growth and psychological understanding of my personal relationships. Listening to New Life's counselors' wise and creative solutions to their callers helped me solve life and love's diverse problems. You know, many of you have been listening. Some of you are giving, but I want to encourage each and every one of you. If New Life has impacted your life, please give. It makes such a difference, and it helps us do all the ministry that we're doing. God is working through New Life, and I want you to be part of what God's doing. And we invite you to do that. You can go to newlife.com/donate. There's information about Club New Life if you want to give in that way, or you can give a one-time gift. Any way that you can support us makes a difference. We're going to go to the calls, and we're going to talk with Tom, and he is calling us from Austin, Texas, and watches us on YouTube. If you are watching us on YouTube, click that like and subscribe button to help others know about New Life. Tom, how can we help you today?
Hello there, this is Tom. Yeah, I have family members that I have a brother and a sister, and one of my other family members, my other brother just passed away, and in Austin, I'm in Austin. Sister and other brother are in California. They've been corresponding with me about the estate. What could we do with the estate? And so I'm at odds when they ask me, because all this time, all these years that we've known each other, we don't ever talk, and it seems like there's distrust and dishonesty I have towards especially my sister. And so for them to get into a situation where we're now talking, that's a good thing. But I got mad. I cussed out my sister with a text. And I never do text, never do cuss anyone out, and it was so out of character for me. But I wanted to express myself. I was so sad about the way I did that, that I did it that way, and so now I went back and texted both of them. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Let me show me what we could do differently. Show me what I've done wrong. Sometimes it's hard to see in a moment what you should have done right or what you have done wrong. And so maybe what I'm saying will help someone else recognize. Maybe I should have just relaxed and thought about what I was going to say before I said it. But I guess what I'm saying is it's been disappointing to me how this. Yeah.
There's a lot of feelings that come up in those losses. Laura, what would you suggest for Tom, in this time of grief, but also repairing these relationships?
Well, wowzer. It sounds like what happened here, and this is what grief will certainly do, is all the undercurrent, all the lava has been building up, and we had a big volcanic eruption, right? Yeah. And I appreciate your heart, Tom, of going, you thinking, well, I should have done this and should have. Well, you would have if you should have, could have. I mean, it's just like it's. If you,
I understand.
You were.
And you said it right. You said it right when you said it was something that built up. I agree.
Right. So y'all sounds like you've had this estranged relationship, and then now the death has brought everybody kind of in the same room. And if you all knew how to connect with each other, you would do it now. And I'm not trying to be harsh, but I want to validate your reality, that this is not a quick fix. And even I think it's great that you followed up with an apology in your text, but it may have fell on deaf ears. So are you asking us what can you do now?
Yeah. What can you do? I don't think I can do anything more than what I've done. Maybe you can show me if I should.
Well, no, how did they respond to your text? Was there any response, or was there crickets?
A text.
Yeah. How did they respond to it? Did they answer back, or were they silent? No. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Shot.
All right. So
because of that, I sent my sister and my brother too. I had some issues with him, so I sent him a text both saying, "I'm sorry, forgive me for blowing up. Show me where I'm wrong. Do you want to communicate?" So anyway, I have not heard back.
Okay, so Laura's
all I could do.
Yeah, Laura's right. They were hurt, and so this is what I want to encourage you to think about. I think the lava is a great explanation. I want to invite you to go deeper. I want to invite you to ask yourself a question. If the lava could talk, what would it say? What's the years of hurt? What's the years of pain? What's the years of abandonment? What's the years of loneliness that you've experienced as a person in a family that's very disconnected? I get this because my family is very chaotically disengaged. We are very disconnected based on what happened when I was growing up. The other thing I would have you do, and that's for you, that's for your knowledge. The other thing I would have you do is stand the line and work with one of our New Life counselors. And let me tell you why. This is a pivotal moment. What you're doing is you're asking your family members to show you what you did wrong. Just you guys tell me, and then I'll make it right. But you know what they want? They want you to do a deeper dive so that you can tell them what went wrong, so that you can put words to it of ownership. Don't put a burden on them to figure it out. That you get to do. And then I think I'm sorry. Oftentimes I say when we have volcanic eruptions and we say, I'm sorry, I call them cheap sorries. Even though it's the right direction, it still falls flat because it's not true ownership. Like, oh, I see what happened. I did this. This has been brewing inside of me. That was unfair of me to project on you. It was like lava in your direction. I want to take ownership, whatever you say, but it needs to be well thought out. So those would be the two things I would recommend for you, Tom. But stay on the line. We'll have a counselor who can help you work on that, right? You don't have to do it alone.
There's one other thing that Tom mentioned. He talked about the trust as they're coming in when we're talking about estate, and he's been there. I mean, how do you navigate when trust has been broken and you're dealing with a trust, an estate trust?
Seek legal counsel for direction. I mean, because this is just, if this trust was shaky before, now it's obliterated because everybody's afraid who's going to take something from me, because all of this didn't just pop up with the death. This has been an ongoing chaotic family, dynamic that is just perpetuated through the years, and especially magnified through the estrangement, right? And really, I'll say that Tom might even be a little bit of a scapegoat in this because he blew up. So now, if Tom weren't so crazy and blew up on us, then so I love what Sheri said, though. Take ownership, do your work, Tom, and maybe get some legal counsel.
Yeah, we will get you connected with a counselor, Tom. We're grateful that you called. We'll be praying for that situation, too. Callers, you can call us, 1-800-229-3000. We've got some lines open for the next hour. We want to help you, and we would love for you to call us. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.